Great. First, let me begin by thanking ATS and their entire staff for setting up this opportunity. I really do appreciate all of the hard work that they've done to put this together. I also appreciate all of the participants that are taking time out of their busy schedule to join us today. Just to give you a little bit of background with regard to the presentation, the name of this presentation is Best Practice for Accessible Bathroom Design. This is an AIA approved presentation. So all of the architects that are currently logged in to take part in this presentation, you will receive, or you can receive, an educational credit if you would like. All I need is at the conclusion of the presentation, I just need your AIA number, and then I can log that with AIA, and you can receive a 1-hour educational credit for taking part in the wonderful festivities today. So to give you a little bit of background about myself, my name is Herman Walker. I am the National Sales Director for a company called Pressalit. And Pressalit is a Danish company. It is 100% Danish through and through. It is based in Denmark, and it's been in business since the 1950s. And the goal of Pressalit, if it has a goal or a thesis statement, if you will, it is to make sure that restrooms are truly accessible to everyone, regardless as to what their mobility level might be. And that is the primary focus of today's presentation. And so now that I have the preamble out of the way, I will go ahead and begin.
Well, and actually, I'll just jump in there for
Yes.
a couple other pieces of housekeeping. A quick introduction of myself as well. My name is Zach Allison. I'm the ATS Spec National Sales Manager, similar as Herman here. My role is in assisting architects, engineers, and managing our team on the market development side that provide training for architects and engineers on our ATS spec tool systems. So if you ever need a point of contact to get yourself started on the ATS spec tool, or have questions on any of the products, that's where my team comes in. I also do all of our ATS University sessions, which this is another one of our fantastic sessions put on by our manufacturers, sponsors, and our partners that have all of their products available on the ATS spec tool. So we've done a number of sessions, and as you'll notice, their sessions are being recorded so that we can host it on the ATS University system of our spec tool. So you'll be able to find previous sessions on a variety of topics, for more technical ones on the engineering side, like pump sizing or interceptor sizing, to various barrier-free code discussions for different provinces and states, to low flow discussions and application discussions. So at the end of the session today, I'll show you where you can find that on the ATS spec system. My other role will be keeping an eye on the chat and the QA section, so that if you do have any questions along the way, I'll be able to bring those up to Herman at an appropriate time in between breaths or in between slides. And when we get to the AIA accreditation, just pop in your number into chat. We'll have all of those recorded so that we can send it to Herman after the fact. With that, I'll pass it back over to you. Thanks again.
Yeah, I am so sorry. We should have rehearsed, and I could
There
have
we go.
gone to you, and then we could have flowed a little bit better as we progress.
And I had a couple of questions already coming in for those that are not on the AIA side. So we do have, for any of the Canadian engineers or architects that are doing more of the self-report system, we'll be able to send out a certificate of attendance to all those that are on the Canadian side of the border here, because we do have both Canada and US attendees. So our market development team will be sending out those certificate of attendance later on this week.
Okay, yes, and something to add to that, I also have a certificate that I can send out, which will document everything that took part. And so that can help. And so if any of the architects that are online, if they want that to be a part of their records, just let me know and I can send that out to them.
Perfect. All right, housekeeping done. Let's learn about accessible bathroom design.
Okay, excellent. So I thought just for introductory purposes, what I would do is just play this video. And I call this video Pressalit Care Philosophy. And it's an animated video, but it talks about what we at Pressalit care, what we're all about, what we do in terms of our products, and perhaps most importantly, how our products help people. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this video now.
In institutions welcoming elderly or disabled people, assistive technologies play an important role in enhancing both the lives of residents and carers. Many bedrooms already benefit from flexible technical solutions. Adjustable products provide a high level of comfort for residents and better working conditions for carers. Most bathrooms, however, are still equipped with fixed products, regardless of the age, size, weight, and ability of users. But there is a solution. The Pressalit Care Plus wall track system also brings flexibility to bathrooms by making elements such as wash basins, shower chairs, and support arms fully adjustable in height and sideways movement. This way, Pressalit Care makes the daily care process fully flexible, meeting the individual needs of each resident. For example, a disabled person who can no longer take a shower sitting on a chair can be lifted from their bed, moved to the bathroom through a ceiling hoist, and placed on a shower changing bench adjusted to the correct height. Or another disabled person who depends on a wheelchair can be transferred to a toilet lifter, where the support arms are adjusted just at the right height. The resident keeps their dignity. The carer benefits from better working conditions. Equipping bathrooms with adjustable products will maintain the high level of comfort already found in bedrooms. Flexible bedroom technology plus Pressalit Care. The full solution for care institutions, bedside, transfer, and bathside.
And so that is a look at what Pressalit is all about. Basically, with Pressalit products are readily adjustable at the moment so that each individual user, when they're in the restroom, they can literally formulate a bathroom that works best for their mobility level. And so why this system is popular throughout Europe, certainly throughout Scandinavia, and now increasingly in the United States, is that especially if you're working with hospitals and or assisted living facilities, all of them have a vested interest in making sure that their patients and residents are safe. All of them have fall prevention programs, and all of them are aware that when you walk into whether it's a private residence or a hospital or an assisted living facility, that the bathroom area is the most dangerous area in the facility. And so with these adjustable products put in place, it means that in a matter of just minutes, the person individually or a staff member can go in and they can configure sinks, support arms, whatever the situation might be, so that it favors that person's mobility level to keep them independent and also to keep them safe. Now, what you're looking at here, I believe it should be fairly familiar to everyone. This is an ADA-approved restroom. We see here, if you can see where my cursor is, we have our commode. We have the straight line here, and then we have our commode that is 18, has to be 16 to 18 inches off of the short side wall. We also have things like our circle circumference here, which is 60. Currently, you see the number there at 1,525 millimeters, but just know that circle is actually going to be expanding. And so what has happened is how the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, how they get this circle is They actually take various wheelchair devices and they determine what's necessary to do a full circle in terms of from a mobility standpoint. And now there are just so many different wheelchairs, and there's now a larger bariatric program, a lot of different factors coming in. And so this circle is actually going to be expanding. And so I point out this ADA approved restroom to let you know that one of the advantages of the Pressalit products is that the Pressalit products are designed to work with the ADA. We actually have a program that's called Beyond the ADA, so that when you're going through and you're speccing out and you're preparing, especially a lot of facility projects, and you have to be ADA compliant, you can add in Pressalit products for customers that really want their restrooms to be truly accessible, for hospitals that want something beyond a standard ADA design, and they want something that someone who is in a wheelchair can truly use. They want someone that, for instance, like in a children's hospital, that a child can use and can promote independence and can be a part of a fall prevention program or a safe patient handling program. And so we are oftentimes spec'd into ADA approved restroom designs. And so I wanted to bring that up. And so just keep that in mind as we progress throughout the presentation. Now, one of the things that we offer is that we are very fortunate enough as a company to work with a lot of architects on a lot of projects all throughout the United States. And one of the things that we offer is we have a really wonderful team in place that can provide drawings, imaging, that can make sure that everything you're presenting is ADA compliant. And so what you're looking at here, these were actual images that were done for the Minneapolis airport. This is a rather large audience, so some of you may know that the Minneapolis airport is currently undertaking major renovations, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of renovations and new builds, which are coming on board in the coming years. We are very honored to be a part of that. And as consultants, when this project was up and going, one of the things that we did was that we would actually draw out ADA compliant restrooms, and we would also add the Pressalit pieces to make sure that these restrooms were truly accessible to everyone, whether it was a bariatric user, a child, a person in a wheelchair. And one of the services that we offer is this imaging, which we can give to architects, and then architects can take it and they can show it to their clients. And I like to stress, this doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost your client anything. It's just something that you have, a tool that we have that can help you when you're developing your designs and presenting to your customers and or clients. And so this is the Minneapolis airport. The pictures that you're doing here, on this side, we have an aerial view. This is a lateral view. This was done for the University of Texas Medical System. We are very happy that we are now one of the preferred vendors. We actually have a medical tower that we are a part of with the University of Texas Medical System. And the University of Texas Medical System is actually the largest hospital network in the country. It's actually bigger than even the hospital network in California. And you can see we spec'd out these rooms and did imaging, and we included a lot of the Pressalit products in. And the University of Texas Medical System, they went with us only after they trialed some of our products, some of our philosophy, the height adjustability of our products, making sure that their nurses, their physical therapists, their occupational therapists, the people within the hospital network were on board. And it was their approval that led to us being a part of their medical tower and for some projects they're going forward. These are drawings and imaging for another rehab facility that we have going on. This one is in Los Angeles, California. And this last one that you see here, this is imaging for a project for a children's hospital that we have in, this one is in Michigan. And so I like to point this out up front that we do offer this service. And so for any of you that are out there, if you have, especially if you have hospitals, airports, assisted living facilities, if you're working on that where accessibility is an issue, where the owner of the facility is going to want to make sure that there is a reduction in falls, that people are safe, that people are truly able to use the restroom independently, we can help and we can provide this service to you. And again, it doesn't cost you anything. And we also make sure that everything is ADA compliant. So when we're talking about, yes,
Sorry,
please.
Jeremy, just a couple of quick questions coming in from the chat. I want to jump in there.
Yeah.
First one, the height adjustments. I think I already know the answer to this, but are they done by the staff for each user, or are they done by the users? And then similarly along these lines, you mentioned healthcare facilities. Do the IPAC teams at healthcare, do they have any statements on these so far? For the rails, are they accepted by APAC at the healthcare facilities?
Yes, the first question, the adjustability can be done by the individual user. And as we progress along, we will have examples coming up where you will see wheelchair users adjusting the sink, and we'll go over how easy it is to adjust and manipulate the entire system. One of the benefits to this system is that you can adjust the system in a matter of seconds, as you'll see coming up. Secondly, in terms of like accreditations and stuff, I would have to check to make sure that we are accredited at each one of the organizations that you mentioned. I do know that we are in a lot of hospitals. And so like for instance, well, the University of Texas that I just mentioned, we're in hospitals in Minnesota, hospitals in Portland, all over the country. And so I don't know about that specific spec, but I can certainly research that and get back to you on it.
Yeah, to my understanding and my background knowledge, I've not seen the rails come up in any sort of infection prevention and control discussion. But if the question from chat, if you guys have any feedback or issues that you come across, then we'll certainly be happy to research. Another question coming in, circling all the way back to that ADA, the drawing that you had with all the dimensions. They were curious about I think you had a 75-inch bathroom depth, and they were curious because their ADA indicated a 56-inch minimum depth for access to the water closet. So it might have just been a bit of confusion there. I don't know if you want to circle back to that. But they were just looking to clarify. There's on the turn. I know you were talking turn radius, but
yeah, this turn radius here is 60. That is going to be expanding. My understanding is that this is correct in terms of its ADA application. In fact, if you look here, it even has the additional vertical grab bar, which technically is not an ADA requirement, but is generally added. Again, I can do some research on that to check to make sure that the depth is accurate, but it's my understanding that this is an accurate design for ADA compliance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It might have been the beyond ADA that you were talking about before, so we'll circle back to double check, but fairly certain.
Okay, yeah,
Thanks,
and I can double check that, absolutely. So when we talk about height adjustable sinks, it's important to know that within the marketplace, there are 3 different types of height adjustable sinks. If you can see where my cursor is here, this is a hydraulic height adjustable sink. It works off of a hydraulic system. It is very similar to the mechanism of action that you would see with your trunk. The trunk of most cars now works off of a hydraulic system. This is generally not very popular. This next system here, this height adjustable sink is a manual height adjustable sink. If you look where my cursor is, you see this black knob here, And basically someone would just turn this black knob and the sink will raise and lower appropriately. And then this last version here, this is a height adjustable sink that is motorized. It has 2 buttons here. And so a person in a wheelchair or a child, for example, can simply come up to the sink. They can press the button and the sink will move up or down depending upon which way they'd like the sink to go. And the sink can either be raised or lowered, so it's height adjustable for that individual user. These things appear to be minor, but for some people, like for instance, someone that's in a wheelchair, the difference between them being able to use the sink properly, or in some cases even use the sink independently versus requiring assistance standard plumbing. And so basically there's a shell here that goes underneath the sink that just covers up all of the plumbing and stuff, but it's just standard plumbing underneath. And so in terms of an install, in terms of speccing it in, it's very, very easy to do. This next video that I'm going to play, this was actually done at our showroom in Denmark. And it was the person in this video is one of the lead designers at Pressalit. And so I'm going to play this video and she's going to further walk you through the height adjustable sinks.
Introducing the Matrix Medium, a wash basin built on years of experience.
My name is Annemette. I'm an industrial designer and I work at Pressalit Care in Denmark. The challenge for wheelchair users at an ordinary sink is getting access to the water because there's no room for their legs and no room for footrests up the wheelchair. Products for people with disabilities are often stigmatizing, and with this product we really wanted to make something that's both practical and also aesthetically pleasing.
The result was the Matrix Medium wash basin, a wash basin that meets all the essential needs of the user.
The new Matrix Medium is designed to suit all users, both users in wheelchairs and standing users. If we look at the integrated handles, they are designed to be comfortable and easy to grip. They're really stable and help you keep your balance while you're washing your hands. Looking right at the bottom, you also see that there's room for your feet, so you can get very close to the sink and reach the faucet. Using the grab bars, it's easy for me to pull myself towards the sink. And on each side of me, there's plenty of space for my elbows, which will help me keep my balance while washing my face or my hands. This space also provides plenty of room for storage to keep my cosmetics or soap. The curved front reduces the distance between the user and the faucet, making it easier to wash your hands, especially for people with disabilities in their arms. In the Matrix Medium, there's a high focus on hygiene all around the sink. If we look inside, there's rounded corners that make sure that the sink does not collect any dirt. And when we look at the front, we both have the integrated handles in one material, and then we have the integrated electrical panel to height adjust the sink. Also, the cover is totally flush with the surface of the sink, making it easy to wipe with the cloth. With all these hygienic details, the Matrix Medium will reduce the spread of bacteria and the risk of infection. We made the Matrix Medium because we believe it's important that people are self-reliant and keep living.
And then here, this is another picture of the Matrix sink. I just want to point this out because one of the elements, and this is true with all of these pieces, as I mentioned earlier, Denmark is a Danish company, and all of these pieces are designed in Denmark, and they really do look beautiful. And I think everyone here knows that a lot of times with, especially with newer builds, facilities are increasingly trying to move away from a generic public bathroom type of look. And so when you're putting these pieces in place, it really looks beautiful. It doesn't look like a public restroom at all. And you can see with this one here, this actually is a better picture than what I had earlier. And this shows, this one is the manual version, so you can see the handle there. And of course, if we had the motorized version, the buttons would be along the front fascia here. This is really excellent for infection control, excellent for if you're talking about an infection control like in a hospital or in an assisted living facility. And most importantly, this sink is truly accessible. So if you're talking about children, like in a children's hospital, if you're talking about people in a wheelchair, this is a sink that they can use. And so it works out really, really well.
So just a couple more questions coming in from the chat that I want to make sure we bring up here.
Yes.
One, a real quick one, you may or may not know the answer. The turning radius change that you mentioned due to the larger wheelchairs, do you know
Yes.
when that's looking to come into effect?
No, I don't. And that has, to be honest, been a thorn in my side because I even called the ADA directly about maybe a month and a half ago, trying to figure out exactly when this change is coming in. It is coming in where they're going to the larger turn radius, but I don't have an exact date when.
Gotcha. And then on to another certification, particularly for California, which, as we all know, is one of the larger healthcare markets out there. Are all or some of these units OSHPD, HCAI approved for use in California?
Yes, if you go to our website, and I hope obviously if people go to our website, there will be a link where you can download the certifications. And all of our international certifications, our local certifications, everything can be found there. And as I saw, as I think I opened when I initially opened, we do have facilities that and architects, Gensler Architect in particular, that we are working with out in California.
Understood. Okay, perfect. And then a couple of questions on the sink itself. One from our Canadian audience. Do you know if the sink has CSA approval?
CSA approval. I don't know particular because I work in the United States market, but I can tell you that these are sold all over the world. And because you can find them, because Denmark is a worldwide company. The company does a lot of business. So on the Americanized website, you may not be able to find that information, but there is a Canadian version of the website. And on that website, there will be certifications and specs specific to Canada.
Yeah, and I know the contact. I'll circle back to you. I know we were talking about another project, I think last week anyway. So I'll circle back to you and let you know what I find out on the CSA approvals. Finally, on the sink, how do you address the manual sink with compliance on the no grasping operation for the manual crank? Is it going to comply?
It is not going to comply with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have the crank here. And so so it's not going to, nothing is a magic bullet for everything. And so that it's not going to be compliant with that.
Which I think ties into some of the other, we'll move along because I want to make sure we keep somewhat on schedule. But one of the aspects of the Pressalit design is that it may not always be replacing the barrier-free. It may be in addition to. I think that's why one of the key terms is beyond, the barrier-free, beyond the ADA. You may still have a basin to kind of meet your code standard at the bottom, and then additional elements to make it better. Or there's also the hydraulic and the power operated versions that would have a height adjustable sink that would not have the grasping issues.
Yes, just so we're clear, especially if you're working in a public facility, you still have to put in you still have to have your traditional spacing and stuff for ADA compliance.
Yeah.
These products, especially like the support arms and stuff, they are designed to work with the ADA.
And then a quick question on the anti-ligature, which I think I can comment that these would not classify as anti-ligature. Is that correct?
That is correct. And
We
that
did have, I will say for the audience that's interested in anti-ligature, a couple of weeks ago, we did have a session specifically on anti-ligature products. So if you want to reference that, go to the ATS University section of the spec tool and you'll have more information there. Perfect. And we'll allow you to dive along for now.
Okay, excellent. And so anyway, so the idea is with this sink, if you think about, for example, a children's hospital where you have children in wheelchairs, children of different stature because you're dealing with children who may be 4, 5, 6 years old, all the way up to teenagers. And so having this height adjustable sink, it can be really, really beneficial to them. And it can keep people independent. It keeps people from a hygienic standpoint. It really is a win-win across the board, both for the facility and for the user. So moving along, the next thing I wanted to go over is the shower chair. And with you, when you see this picture, the first thing you'll notice is that here we have a wall track. And the wall track is key to a lot of the design elements that we're going to be discussing coming up. This shower chair connects to this wall track. And as a result, this shower chair is not only height adjustable, it can also be moved laterally. And that is a tremendous advantage both for a facility and for an individual user. If you think about if you're designing a shower area where space is confined, where you're going to have both seated users and standing users, this shower seat can be folded up and can literally be pushed off to the side. The shower seat can also easily be removed. It can be removed in a matter of seconds so that a standing user has more room when they're in the shower. And then maybe the next user comes along and the next user is in a wheelchair and that person still wants to shower independently. The shower chair can then be attached right onto the wall track in a matter of seconds. And now they have a shower chair in place. The shower chair can be set at exactly the right height so that the person in a wheelchair can do transfers as easily as possible. Depending on the size of the shower chair, depending on the size of the shower room, the shower chair can even be moved so that the person can do a strong side transfer instead of a weak side transfer, which can help to minimize fall risk. So when we're talking about why height adjustability is important with in a shower chair, there has been a lot of studies and stuff done on where falls occur and where injuries occur, both in homes, private homes, as well as in hospitals, assisted living facilities, public facilities, so on and so forth. Among them, the shower area is one of the areas where where a fall is most likely to occur. And so when you have a shower chair that is height adjustable, it just makes it less likely that a fall would occur. And so you can see here, it's really kind of self-explanatory. When you have a shower chair that's height adjustable, whether that person is 4'9" or 7 feet tall, we can adjust the shower chair so that the person's feet are firmly on the floor so that they have good posture. Another key element here is that a lot of times we like to include the support arms, and one problem, especially for a person that's in a wheelchair, has when they're showering is that they have a tendency to slide and they'll slide off with the chair. This system even includes like a safety belt that can help to keep them sturdy and keep them stable when they're in the chair. It is very, very useful for a person that's showering that wishes to shower independently, as well as a person that is showering and needs assistance. I'm very, very fortunate where throughout my career, I've spent a lot of times working in hospitals and in assisted living facilities, actually installing fall prevention programs and training nurses on how to do, how to work with patient mobility, and spend a lot of time in the VA working with safe patient handling. And one of the things that you'll see a lot of times when you're working in a shower area is that if I can bring your attention down here to the corner, and we have a person that is seated. And a lot of times when people are designing a shower area, they will put the shower in the corner here, which of course makes a lot of sense, because for a person that is showering and is a seated user, you want them to have access to the tap or have access to the faucet system so that they can shower individually. And this system works really well for a person that wants to remain independent. But at a lot of these facilities, they may have a person who's showering that is a dependent user. And so this is a user that will require assistance when showering. And one of the benefits of the system is that when you have a shower chair along a wall track like this, the shower chair can be moved out away from the corner. And now, as a result, the caregiver has total access all the way around the patient. This may seem incredibly minor to people who are listening to this or people who design bathrooms, but for caregivers, for nurses, for occupational therapists, physical therapists, et cetera, this minor adjustment here and having the ability to make this minor adjustment makes all the difference in the world. And so now we have a caregiver that has total access all the way around the patient. A lot of times for facilities, their shower day can be the most stressful part of the week. And because sometimes these, when you're dealing with some of these patients or residents that need assistance when showering, one thing that can help to make the experience as comfortable as possible for the care receiver is knowing that they are safe. And so when you have this type of environment, the care receiver knows that the caregiver has total access all the way around them. And so it puts them at ease, and it makes the process a lot easier for the caregiver. And it can make showering much easier, much safer, much better, and much more efficient, both for the facility, the caregiver, and the care receiver. And this can be done very minor. Literally, it's just a wall track, and then you put your shower seat on and you're good to go. This next video that I'm going to show, this was also filmed at our showroom in Denmark, and it just gives you more of a visual picture of the height adjustable shower chair. Oh, come on back. Sorry, the computer is a little sensitive today. There we go. And you will see here in this video, this is actually the motorized version. Again, we have both the motorized and the manual version. The shower chair comes in different sizes. You can get it with an aperture, without an aperture. It comes in different colors. You can get them with the support arms, without the support arms. There are a wide variety of widgets that are available. In addition to that, there are some other pieces which can help out the grab bars. They're all approved for ADA use, the shower head, everything is good to go, so that if we are working with an architect or we're working with a facility, we can spec out a whole restroom and everything there is good to go. And it provides the absolute best outcome for a particular facility.
And just a quick question coming in, I'm sure you're probably about to cover this as you go into maybe a little bit more detail, but what are the structural requirements for these wall tracks, whether it's the shower, the chair, the basins, anything like that? And how deep do the walls need to be to accommodate the tracks?
It will, well, let me give you the preamble and say, obviously, every case is different. Ideally, when installing I always like to go into the stud in the wall when doing the wall track. We do have a wall track that is designed where you actually do not have to find the studs in the wall. It's actually designed to work with drywall where it can go into the wall directly. And we even have video that shows how it works, which is not a part of this presentation just because of time purposes. But if there are people that are interested in blocking the wall or putting in the wall track without going into the stud or using wood blocks versus metal blocks, I can get them the information on that so that they can do an install. But just know that the wall track is designed to be used. It can go directly into a drywall surface, or you can tie it into the studs in the wall. I prefer wood as my personal preference, but it is indicated for a variety of different uses in terms of attaching to the wall. Okay, is it okay to move on? Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, yes, and in terms of going into the drywall directly without working with the studs, we do have video, and I do have examples that if there was a person that had that question, I can send them the video and I can show them the technology in terms of how it works. The idea behind that is that they wanted to make that wall track as easy as possible to install, because one of the benefits of the wall track is that once you put the wall track up in a shower, in a restroom area, at that point you're done. Because as you'll see coming up, you can then add and subtract pieces as often as you want, because all of the pieces, the support arms, even the shower chair, they're all designed to be manipulated, and they can connect to, and they can connect off of the wall track in a moment's notice. So the next thing I wanted to cover are support arms. And support arms, this is probably the area where I spend the most time, because in my view, what you're going to be seeing in the next 10 or 15 years in terms of the market is support arms are going to be changing. And you are eventually going to see a time when all support arms are adjustable. And that is because support arms are paramount for people that want to remain independent when they're using the restroom. They are extremely important in hospitals when you're talking about fall prevention, when you're talking about safe patient handling and transitioning patients, especially in a restroom environment. Support arms are vital. And currently in most hospitals and pretty much everywhere around the country, they have a support arm that is plugged into a wall, and that's it. The support arm is stationary and it does not move. That means whether the person is 6'7" or the person is 4'7", they are supposed to use the exact same support arm in the exact same location, a lot of times in order to complete the exact same task. And that makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't make sense to anyone. I am privileged enough where I give a lot of talks on patient mobility in hospitals to executive boards. And I am to the point where I tell them that if you are putting stationary support arms in your facility, you are essentially doing a disservice to your users. It just doesn't make any sense. Having a support arm that can be adjusted so that so that regardless as to what your mobility level is, regardless as to whether or not you weigh 300 pounds or you weigh 120 pounds, being able to adjust that support arm so it fits your size and your mobility level is extremely important. And this is why you see the Pressalit support arms growing, and why this has become so popular, because you need to have adjustable support arms in your facility. This video here, this was actually filmed at our showroom in the United Kingdom. And I've been talking a lot about how easy it is to adjust the support arms. And so this video is going to walk you through and show you how easy it is to adjust and manipulate the support arms. One caveat here, you see these support arms are, I guess that's a rustic red or burgundy color. Please just know that the support arms come in a wide variety of sizes and colors. It's just the customer's individual preference. You can see the support arms, they fold up. You can move them up, move them down. Very, very easy. And what this system allows is that if you think about a hospital and you think about the restrooms and you think about the people that are in the hospital room, for every single restroom, a person could go in and can actually, in a matter of minutes, manipulate the entire restroom so that all of the products are suitable for the person that's going to be using the restroom at that time. It really is a great system. You can also think about if you have let's say you have a new hospital and it's going to be a children's hospital. Let's say they have a children's ICU. And so it would make sense that they have the restroom and that the restroom is set up and that it's most suitable for children. Well, the hospital can go in with this system and a nurse can go in and in a matter of seconds go in and they can adjust all the support arms and have everything in place so that it's most suitable for children. And then let's say 5 years from now, they decide that for this ICU, instead of being for children, they want it to be for bariatric use. Well, what do you do with the restrooms? With this system, they can go in using the exact same pieces and they can raise, lower, move left to right, and they can manipulate and change the entire restroom so now it's suitable for bariatric use. And so it allows the facility to change and you can get a customizable fit for each individual user. As you saw there in the last example, the support arm can even be completely removed. So if you're thinking about, let's say like as you saw earlier, we're fortunate enough to be working on a lot of large scale projects. You could have a facility where they have 10 restrooms. And they could buy 10 support arms and then they can use them however they see fit within the restroom. They can put two support arms in every restroom. They can put 3 in one and 1 in another one. They can move them around. It just gives the facility more flexibility in terms of what they want to do with their restrooms. And yes.
A question coming in, and I think one of the issues or the thoughts here is, are these designed for the staff to assist or for the independent patient or person to assist? Because, the grip strength to pinch and adjust those arms could be something that independent adults may not have. Do you want to just comment on some of the solutions that are offered there, or
yes,
I guess the target audience for the product?
First, I would agree with that. Not everyone can manipulate and move the support arm up and down. In my opinion, when it comes to the sinks, the motorized sink, that can be used by anyone. As long as they have any reasonable dexterity above the waist, they are good to go with the sink. With the support arms, that is a 50-50 proposition. A lot of times there may be a nurse that will go in and will set the support arm at the appropriate height for the patient. Just so the audience knows, nowadays in all hospitals, when someone is admitted to the hospital, they are given a mobility assessment. And so as a part of when you're admitted, they will determine what your mobility level is and how much help you need when you're moving around the hospital. It's a part of a fall prevention program that all hospitals have. It's a part of the safe patient handling program that all hospitals have. And so within that system, once you get that rating and they have an idea as to the mobility level, or as to the mobility level of the patient, then the nurse can go in and they can manipulate and they can change up the restroom so that it's suitable for that user. Then when the patient is done with that room and another patient comes in, then they get the same assessment, and now the nurse can again go back into the restroom, and as you can see here, in minutes can then reset the restroom so that it works best for that patient. And then that way, what the facility is getting as a part of a fall prevention program is they are getting restrooms that instantly become specifically designed for each individual user. And what the user is getting is they are getting a restroom that is the safest, that's the safest possible environment for them to work in. And a lot of times they're getting a restroom environment where, because of these changes that are made, they can remain independent when they're using the restroom, when if you had stationary products, they would need assistance. This graph that I put up here, I generally don't like to work with numbers like this because you can do a general Google search, and this is common on the internet, just talking about the cost of patient falls in a hospital environment. The CDC has excellent information on this. This comes from AliMed. Just know that when you're dealing with hospitals and assisted living facilities, patient falls are a big deal. It is a huge cost to all facilities. And that's why you see ceiling lifts, which have come into play a lot in the last 15 or 20 years. That's why all of these hospitals have fall prevention programs. That's why they all have mobility programs. That's why they all have safe patient handling programs. It is because they are trying to minimize falls and minimize injuries in the hospital. And having this type of system in place can greatly aid and can be a very, very big important element in that. I also bring that up because for a long time, and again, this depends on your sourcing and what data you used, it was widely believed that the shower area specifically was the place where falls are most likely to occur. There has been some new data that has come in now that shows that actually around the commode is where falls are most likely to occur. Regardless as to what your source material is, it's just important to know that restrooms are the most dangerous area when you're talking about falls and fall prevention, and the shower area and the commode are the two most vital areas within that in terms of making sure that falls won't happen. Now, the video that you're seeing here, this comes from the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, with an assist from the state of Georgia. And what you see here is, if I can move my cursor up here, you have a restroom where you have your sink, you have your divide line here, we're 18 inches off the wall, and then you have your back grab bar here. You have your second grab bar here, 42 inches off the wall, and then a foot off of the back wall. This is an ADA compliant restroom. And so for a wheelchair user that wants to remain independent while using the wheelchair, while using the restroom rather, what you see here is this would be called a lateral transfer. And what the wheelchair user will do is they will obviously be they will situate themselves laterally from the commode. They will then grab onto the commode. They will slide themselves over onto the commode and then use this grab bar here to situate themselves. And then they would do the process in reverse when they're done and they want to transition back from the commode to the wheelchair. Down here, you see the second option. This would be called a lateral transfer. And in this version here, we have the wheelchair, which is being approached from a lateral angle. The wheelchair user then grabs onto this back grab bar. They slide themselves off onto the commode. They then use this side grab bar here to adjust themselves onto the commode. And then again, they do the process in reverse when they're finished. When you look at this, and we've all been in public restrooms, and we know what public restrooms can be like. This, to me, I think is sad. I think it borders on a disgrace. And this currently is what the ADA views as acceptable for a person in a wheelchair that wants to remain independent when using the restroom. I don't think it's hygienic. I don't think it's safe. I think there are better ways that you can do this process. In fact, if you look down here, you can see, if you go from this picture to this picture, and you can see this individual trying to do a lateral transfer on the commode. If you can imagine, let's say a 70, 75-year-old man of limited mobility trying to do a transfer like that because he wants to remain independent when using the restroom, you can see how there is a chance that he could fall, that there is a chance for injury here. But every single person that you see that is in a wheelchair, if they're at a park, if they're at a museum, if they're in a hospital, wherever they might be, this is their option if they want to remain independent when using the restroom. And when we discuss working beyond the ADA, this is probably what we're talking about more than anything else, rather. So this next video that I'm going to play for you, this looks at, let's see if I can get this to play here. This looks at transfers for people using the Pressalit support arms. Initially, this video was done because we would get a lot of questions about the wall track and how the wall track with the support arm could legitimately support a person and support a person's weight. And so that was the original reason why this video was made. What we have found over time is that I actually like to use this video to show people transitioning from a wheelchair to the commode so that they can see the importance of the support arm and why it's so important to move beyond the ADA if facilities truly want to have facilities that are accessible to all people. Just so you know, in a normal install, those wires wouldn't be there. They're just there because they're testing to measure the pressure that's on the support arm when you're actually doing a transfer. This is the first model. This model is a double amputee. And okay, if I can pause it here. What's important is that first you see we have support arms bracketing around the commode. In a normal ADA environment, you don't get this. And the reason why, it's not because it's effective, it's actually more effective and it's safer than doing the transfer system that I showed you earlier. It's because if you don't have support arms that can fold back into the wall, if you have just stationary support arms, the support arms create almost like a cage around the commode, and then a person in a wheelchair doesn't have any access. But because with this system, the support arm folds back up against the wall, it eliminates that issue. And so you can bracket your support arm, you can bracket your commode rather with support arms. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see if I can, sorry, my computer is being very sensitive here. Let's move it along. Okay. So you see he's about to do, this would be a lateral transfer. Oh, I am so sorry. This doesn't want to behave here. Okay. As he made the transfer, a couple of things to point out. First, You see when he's making the transfer, if you notice on this support arm, having this support arm at exactly the right height and at the exact right width is very, very important to make sure that he can transfer safely. That's number one. And so that's why having a support arm that's height adjustable is very important. Secondly, and this is really important, and you'll see as you see these transitions, you'll see this over and over again. It's very important for any support arm when you're testing that the support arm isn't just tested for weight coming down directly on top of the support arm. It's also important that the support arm is tested for the torque and the pressure that the support arm takes going side to side. Because when support arms are actually used, it is a pull and a push motion as often as it is going straight up and down. And so you can see, because we have the support arm there at just the right height for him, he is able to do his transfers much more safely, much more cleanly. This system is way more hygienic, it's safer, and in some cases, it can keep people independent who otherwise would need assistance when they're using the commode. Now,
That's
this-
really interesting. We did have a question come in, which I think you're about to cover here.
Yes.
Are there different products that have different weight limits to it, specifically looking for bariatric?
Yes, but when it comes to the support arms here, the support arms are indicated for bariatric use. So you can buy one support arm, and whether you're working with children or you're working right up to bariatrics, you can use the exact same support arm in the exact same system. And what you see here with this person, I don't know if you guys caught it, let me roll it back a little bit, more. I really like this model because the model that we have coming up is a bariatric user. The model that you see coming up, he weighs over 500 pounds. At most hospitals, bariatric use or the bariatric label begins at 500 pounds. So he would be considered a bariatric user. And that's why I was really happy that they used this person as a model. And so this person here, you can see he weighs over 500 pounds. He's also really tall. As you can tell from the picture, I would guess he's well over 6 feet tall. I would say he's probably pushing 6'4", 6'5". So we're looking at a person 6'4", 6'5", weighs in excess of 500 pounds. So he is an excellent test subject for these support arms. And you can see we spend a lot of time discussing wheelchair users, but part of the benefits of this system is that there are a lot of standing users that also can benefit from having those support arms. There is a story where we are working with a particular facility where they had someone that went in and used the commode and they could not get themselves up off of the commode. And it's an embarrassing situation for the person that's on the commode when you're basically on the commode and you're stuck and you can't get off, can't get up off the toilet. And having these support arms here and having them at the right height and at the right width for each individual user, that can help to prevent something like that. So this isn't something that is just for wheelchair users. It's for standing users as well. Let me move. And so you can see him here as he's sitting there. And the other thing to take note here, imagine if this were a private home and he were married to his wife and his wife was 5'2" and weighed 120 pounds. It does not make any sense that she would use the exact same support arm that he would use. Of course, you would have to make an adjustment. Of course, the support arm would be put at a different level when it's her turn to use it. And that's what makes the system so great. It's flexible and it can be adjusted to each individual user. There he is there doing a lateral transfer. And so you can see how the system works in real life. And there, I can pause it here. There you see our indication. Even at the furthest tip, we can take up to 132 pounds of pressure. Where the support arm is mostly used, you're looking at between 500 and 935 pounds of pressure. So from children all the way up to bariatric use, they can use the exact same support arm. So your facility only has to buy one support arm, and then they can take their support arms, they can move them around to any restroom that they see fit, and these support arms will work for all of their patients. This last video that I'm going to play, I like to call this video Why This Matters. And we were privileged enough to be a part of the Pittsburgh International Airport, where we did some of the restrooms there. And with the Pittsburgh International Airport, they were so pleased with the results and they were getting such positive feedback. That airport actually allows us to go in and film promotional video. And so we filmed this video at the Pittsburgh Airport, and I just like to call this Why This Matters and why this topic is important.
So my name is Dr. Josie Badger, and I am from the Pittsburgh region, and I have a really rare disease called congenital myasthenic syndrome. So every day I have to determine whether my desire to spend my energy to navigate maybe accessible places, maybe not, whether it's worth my spoons, or whether I'd rather stay at home where I know that bathrooms are going to be accessible, that I know that I can get around, and I don't have to use that energy just to use a restroom. As an individual with a disability, I think that we should have the life that everyone else has. There's going to be times that I run into barriers, and those days are hard for me, but even when it's that hard situation of where I go to a location and there might be a step or the bathroom's not accessible, it's a learning experience for everyone. And so I find that my life is kind of a learning opportunity for people, just because many individuals have no idea what is not accessible. They do not realize
That's our change table.
It's not accessible for everyone. As I've gotten older, my ability to move, to transfer,
That's the height adjustable sink.
has been reduced, and my husband, my family members are no longer able to help me as they once did when I was small. And so as my parents age, it is so important to make sure that I'm not injuring them when I'm trying to make sure that my needs are taken care of. And so the safety of both me and the care provider is vital. And that's one reason the height adjustable tables are so important. When the right accommodations are not available in public restrooms, I do have to make the decision on whether to partake in what everyone else is doing of getting dinner, to get a drink, or not. And it's always hard to decide on whether to do life like everyone else with the risk of not being able to use the restrooms like everyone else can, or whether I need to take a step back and maybe not go out that day. I heard this quote from Jenny Thornburg that if they can't go, they won't go. Okay, if they can't use the restroom, people won't be there. And so many times, individual community restaurants and stores, they'll question why they need that ramp for the one step in the front or an accessible bathroom, because people with disabilities don't shop there or don't go there, not recognizing that the reason they don't see the people with disabilities there consuming their products is because they can't be there. And so we need to change the mindset of why are we not seeing people with disabilities in our society? Not because we don't exist, it's because we can't be fully included.
And that's it. I thank you all very much for listening to me. Again, like I said earlier, I really do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite a video to close on. That was so true. And I know some of the comments coming in from the chat are saying the same. You know, I know we have a couple other questions that came in along the way on things like how do we get the list price and things like that. And what we'll do is we'll make sure that we get some of that information sent out as part of our follow-up. And of course, I send a link to the adult change table information that ATS put together in coordination with Pressalit. So you can access that reference guide, which will break down which states are requiring adult change tables to date. Although I know a number are having discussions to include it more going forward. And we've got a reference guide there explaining which states have which features called out. And of course, Pressalit Care will have products that can fit any of that. And those products can be selected on atsspec.com. We won't walk through a session showing the spec tool day today. We're already running a little bit over time. But if you go to www.atsspec.com, you'll have access to a product selection tool that is, you know, free for designers because it's paid for with our partnerships with manufacturers like Pressalit and many others. So thank you, Herman, for taking the time to show us that presentation today. That was really fantastic. I haven't seen any of the other questions. Just a lot of people saying great presentation and a great topic. So you did a fantastic job. With that, we'll wish everyone a great rest of the day. If you are part of the US architectural side and have not yet put your AIA number into the chat or the QA field, please do so. And we'll get that passed along to Herman so he can register everyone. For anyone that's looking for the certificate for self-reporting, we'll have those sent out later on this week from a market development team. And if you ever want to learn about how you can find these products on the ATS spec tool, we'll be happy to lend a hand. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.